What's up, everybody? How are we doing? Oh, you guys are already commenting. My goodness. Hey, Troy. Hey, Tiffany. Hey, Anna. Ain't missing this one. I've been working it. Oh, Tiffany, I'm glad to have you here. I'm glad to see you. Root Boy, what's going on? What is going on, everybody? How are we doing? How are we feeling? What's the vibe like? Let's do an energy check on everybody. What's the energy like, folks? Because mine is through the roof. I'm so happy to be here. Happy for this not so great weather, but still loving it Sunday. Just chilling, Rue. I feel you. I feel you, bruh. I feel you. How are we doing, though, otherwise? I mean, whoo. When I tell you guys the energies are bumping, the energies are bumping. We've got Mercury retrograde. We've got the new moon coming up on the 9th, 10th. New moon in Gemini. And it's a solar eclipse. So I'm telling you, these energies are no joke, no joke, no joke. And I'm already starting to feel them. So I don't know about you guys, but whew. Bumping in a good way, yeah. I mean, I feel like they're bumping in a good way. But I know some people are struggling a little bit with, especially with the Mercury retrograde, which is always tough for things like communication. But then we got the new moon in Gemini coming up, and that energy is starting to pick up. And Gemini is the ruler of communication as well. So there could be some conflict there, which is what I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight. So for me, personally, I am finding that my communication is improving, but that's because I went into this retrograde and I'm going into this new moon cycle, being very mindful of communication and really being conscious of, speaking my truth, saying what I need to say, and not really worrying too much about the outcome. That does not mean I'm being rude or insensitive to other people, but just telling other people what they're doing, how it's affecting me, what they're doing, what they're saying. Found myself in a little bit of a conflict yesterday, and I haven't been triggered like that in a really long time. But instead of getting disrespectful, as we know Aquarian tongues can do when you cross the line with us, well, some of you may not know that, but I know that. Instead of getting real disrespectful and swearing everybody and they mamas, I was very articulate. I said my piece. I was very clear about what the intention of the words that I was saying, what that intention was. And in the end, it was a group conversation. I'll just say that it was a group conversation. And while some people thought that I was taking offense to what they were saying as a personal attack on me, once I was able to sort of re-explain one-on-one to certain people in the group what was being said, or what was being felt by the things that were being said, the issue, the situation got handled. So usually, and this is a big step for me, you guys, those who know me very closely and very personally know that I don't like conflict, and I tend to just kind of sweep it under the rug sometimes and not hey Bon, sorry I didn't see you there. I tend to sweep things under the rug, not deal with them, and then they build up, and something happens, and the brakes are off on the situation. And so I'm quite proud of myself that I was able to sort of nip this in the bud before it became a bigger thing than it needed to be. So that's an example of how I myself have been very conscious of communication in this Mercury retrograde and coming into the new moon in Gemini, and really just reflected. And this is kind of what Spirit told me to tell you guys watching, is that right now is a great time to reflect on how you balance the ebb and flow of certain conversations, what do you bring to that conversation? How do you contribute to, the success or the failure of that communication? I also heard that some of us might be, some of us probably are, really stuck inside our own heads right now, just our own thoughts, our own little bubble, and we need to come out of that bubble a little bit. Self-reflection, always a good idea. It's always a good idea when you are feeling triggered to self-reflect and to make sure that your thoughts are clear, and make sure that the things that you want to say come out in the words that you actually speak. Because I think a lot of us will speak and say words, but they don't necessarily give the full picture of what it is we are trying to say, the message we are trying to get across. So there was a bit of a warning today, or a suggestion from the universe to really reflect on how you balance your conversations, especially with this crazy energy of communication right now. It's even more so important, so as not to make certain situations worse, is how they're making me feel. Then we also have the solar eclipse, and eclipses are notorious for helping us to sort of recalibrate, and bring ourselves to our higher selves and our purposes. It's a really good time to start new things. And anything that arises in this time, in the energy of an eclipse of any kind, solar or lunar, they tend to have a longer impact on our lives. So being mindful again of what we're manifesting in this time, being mindful of those communications, because the wrong communication could possibly affect a relationship long term, and that might not be the goal, that might not be the intention. So we have to be very, very careful and very mindful of that. That being said, when I was doing my meditations earlier today and asking Spirit what they wanted these messages to be about, they said very clearly, you need to do you need to tailor some of your readings, your weekly readings, to the moon cycle. And so they said the new moon is coming up during the week. Because of my work schedule, my regular work schedule, it's hard for me to do these kinds of lives during the week. So they said, use your Sunday platform and get some messages out there. We've got some things to say about this new moon. So as I meditated on it and sort of talked through it with Spirit, they gave me 3 questions, because of course we do 3 cards and we do 3 stacks. So they gave me 3 questions to ask for this week that are specifically, again, hi self, story of a short girl's life. What's the story of a short girl's life, Bun? They gave me 3 questions to ask, and I think they're brilliant questions, and I'm really excited about these messages this week, because I think they're really, really powerful, and they're going to help a lot of us really get into this new moon energy. Despite it being in Gemini and all these problems that I've already talked about, new moons are just great because they're new beginnings. It's a reset on the sorry. I'm sorry. New beginnings, new things starting up, and they're really good ways to kind of prepare us for this energy and to really harness the power and the magic of the moon. So I'm really excited about this week, these messages. I think they're going to be a lot of fun. I think you guys are going to like them. Okay. So if you haven't already, please take a second and pick your stones. We've got the left. I know it's kind of, I guess on my side, it's up to down. what's this? Vertical. In the camera, it's horizontal, so it's good. So on the left, we have yellow. I'm calling it yellow. In the center, we have orange. And on the right, we have blue. So take a moment. You don't have to shout it out. You don't have to comment on it. But take a moment and pick the stack that is calling to you. And we're going to get started. So, we have stack number 1, and I'll just go through and quickly tell you guys. So we're using the Psychic Tarot deck. We are using the Goddess Power deck, and we are using the Archangel Power deck. Okay? And I literally, just before I went live, I looked down at the cards, said my little prayer that I usually say to Spirit to start the messages, start the live, and I realized how much blue is in these cards. We've got this blue flag, banner, whatever you want to call it. These are blue. We've got a blue stack. Only fitting for the, Mercury retrograde, new moon in Gemini, which is all about communication. And if you haven't been watching long, the color blue is associated with the throat chakra, which is all about speaking your truth, speaking it to yourself, speaking it to the people around you. So, all about communication this week. All right. So, stack number 1, which again is the yellow stone. Bloop. I'm calling it yellow. I know it's not quite. Okay, so question number 1, which is going to be answered by the Psychic Tarot card, is what is blocking me right now? What is the blockage? Okay. Question number 2 is what energy do I need, or am I ready to call in at this time? And we are using the goddesses for that. And then question number 3 is, what intention should I set for my highest and greatest good? I'm telling you, when they told me these questions, I was like, yes. So the intentions are the Archangel Power cards. All right. So stack number 1, yellow stack. The first question is, what is blocking me right now? And we have foundation and achievements. Go this way. Foundation and achievements. So, reading this card and channeling the message about the blockage. What is the blockage associated with this card? And some of us are in an energy of lacking. We don't feel we have enough. Either material things, emotional things. Maybe we don't feel we have enough spiritual connection. I also channeled, there's not enough recognition, or we don't feel we're getting enough recognition for the work that we are doing. That could be our professional lives. Maybe it's the work that we're putting into our personal relationships. Maybe it's the work that we're putting into our spiritual journey, and we just we're not feeling like the universe is acknowledging that. Now, in the energy of, or in the position of what is blocking, the blockage that's created by having these feelings, having these thoughts, is the blockage of abundance, the blockage of prosperity, the blockage of love. And Spirit said they need to work smarter, not harder. So I think this has been a message that's come up before, where we are working so hard at whatever it is. Any of those things that I mentioned before, we're working so hard at it, and we feel like we're getting nowhere. We feel like we're not getting recognized. And it's because we're focusing on the wrong things. We're focusing too much on the outcome, too much on the big picture. And that's really what Spirit said, is that to remove the blockage that is caused here, or that is being acknowledged here, we need to be more grateful for what we do have. We need to be thankful for the little things, the smallest things. Thankful for a rainy day, because you know what? Nature is getting a drink. Nature is being hydrated. Water brings life. Water brings life. And so the rain is helping regenerate new life for the season that we're coming into. So we have to look at things, we have to change our perspective in order to remove those blockages. We need to change our perspective and look at the little things and appreciate the little things, because the little things become bigger things. The small blessings become big blessings. And that's what this card, Foundation and Achievements, is all about. Then the next question is, what energy should I or am I ready to call in at this point? Oh, you guys. Okay. Whoever picked this stack needs to look up angel number 444. You know why? Because this is number 4, right? Everybody see it? The Goddess Power card is number 22. Now, I know usually they say don't reduce these kinds of numbers, but I have to. And the reason I have to is because when you reduce this, add 2 and 2, it's 4. The third card, which we will get to in a moment, is also 4. You've got 444 here. And Spirit kept wanting me to say something about the number 4, but I'm not super up on all of the numbers in numerology. So I didn't want to say anything, but then they made me look again, and now I see 444. So angel number 444, everybody watching needs to look up that number because there is a message there for all of us. Okay, so the energy we need to call in is, I'm going to say Hestia. That might not be how you pronounce it, but that's how I'm pronouncing it. Hestia is the Greek goddess of the hearth. And the hearth is the home, which is our foundation. Spirit is not playing around with the synchronicity in these messages, you guys. I'm telling you. Hestia, the Greek goddess of the hearth, or the home. And when I read the description of this card, because I don't know the goddesses all that well, when I read the description of this card, Spirit started talking right away, and they were... the first thing I heard was feng shui, however you say it. We need to declutter our physical space. Our physical surroundings need to be cleaned, cleared. We need to shift the energy in our homes in order to make room for these bigger blessings that we're trying to achieve, we're trying to get, but then we're also a little bit resentful that they're not coming. Well, if you don't have room for new stuff, and we've talked about this before, why are you going shopping, clothes shopping, when you've got a closet full of stuff that you never wear? Where are you going to put it? When are you going to wear it? Is it going to end up at the back of the closet with the tag still on it 3 years later? Maybe. So it's time to declutter. Focus on the smaller things. Leave the bigger picture alone. They literally said that. Leave the big picture alone. Focus on the small things. Get aligned with your higher self. When we create space, when we declutter our physical space, what happens is our mental, emotional, and spiritual space naturally clears as well. And when we do that, we make room for Spirit to step in and say, hey, here we are. Let's get to blessing. So we need to really focus right now on our physical space. And that's where that focus on small things, right? Attacking the junk drawer. Everybody has one. We all have a junk drawer. Some of us have a junk closet. Some of us have junk bins that we tuck under our bed and never think about. All of that stuff. Those are those small things. And they may seem very insignificant right now when you're trying to when you're trying to manifest blessings. Hey, Marns. It's all good, babes. When you're trying to manifest blessings, you're thinking about the big picture. And this is why Spirit said, no. You need to stop. You need to get rid. And Anna, this is going to answer your question. It's not necessarily a quantity thing. It's a quality thing, which seems cliche. But what I mean by that is anything that you are attached to that just doesn't serve you anymore. Again, you're, using the closet as an example, you've got 5 dresses in there that, or 5 outfits, whole outfits, whatever they may be. You've got 5 of them pushed to the one corner, still have the tags on them because you never wore them. You pull them out and you realize, well, this isn't really my style anymore. I actually bought this 5 years ago. Or you pull out something, you're like, I really love this, but it doesn't fit. What on earth are you holding it on? Listen, if it doesn't fit you today, no offense, it's not going to fit you a year from now. Because the energy of that item wasn't important enough to you to make sure it fit now or a year ago or whenever. It's going to be put back in the exact same spot you pulled it out of. It's going to be forgotten. You're going to go and buy a new outfit and you're going to forget about that one again. So if it's something that you have not worn, if you have not looked at, if you don't like it, whatever it is, if it's not serving you, get rid of it. And this is not just about physical space. Yes, I'm focusing on physical space right now because that's the focus on the smaller things that lead to bigger things. How good do you think you are going to feel if your physical space has been completely decluttered? The energy is flowing beautifully. You wake up every morning feeling invigorated and ready to hit the day, hit the ground running, all that great stuff. And then you go out with a group of friends and there's 2 or 3 people in there that you just, you tolerate them because they're part of the group, but that you'll never really, this will never be a one-on-one friendship. Or there are people that, you forced yourself to spend time with because, they asked. But you get there and you're like, man, I really would rather be at home, or I would literally rather be with anybody else. Why? Why put yourself through that? That's the example of how the small thing of clearing out your closet now leads to a bigger thing. Your energy feels so good at home that when you leave home, you want to bring that energy with you. And you want to make sure that energy stays with you wherever you are and whomever you're with. So what will start happening is you will start releasing the energy and the people around you that don't serve your highest good. And that's what Hestia is talking about. When we're, our energy is our home. Our energy is our home. And so if the message is to declutter and reorganize and improve the flow, focus on the flow of energy in our home, that does apply literally to our physical home, but it also applies to our spiritual home, our energetic home, our soul home. So we have to start slowly removing things that no longer serve a purpose there. And when we do that, then we become aligned with our higher self. Now we are aligned and in tune with our higher self, and we can actually communicate better with the universe when we're trying to manifest these things that we want to manifest. So this is why this message right here is why Spirit wanted me to do it this way this week, because the new moon is coming up. It is time for new manifestations. It is time for new beginnings. And if we go into it knowing what we need to focus on, it's good things. Now, so we've talked about the blockage. We've talked about the energy we need to call in. Now let's talk about what intention do we need to focus on for this new moon cycle that is for our highest and greatest good. And we got from the Archangel Power deck, the Emperor, the third number 4, Archangel Uriel, stability and efficiency, taking charge of a situation, ambitious plans. So while the message, you guys, was to sort of not focus so much on the big picture, meaning don't do things Don't focus on what you have to do to achieve the big picture. Walk it back. Walk it back. So in this card, though, the energy is to still have ambition, still have those ambitious plans, still want more, want better, want to achieve your highest self, your greatest good. But the focus needs to be on the little things that we do, the little steps we take to get to that big ticket item. So when I read this card and I asked for them to really explain to me how this card fits, and what I was drawn to was Archangel Uriel is sitting basically on a throne because he's an emperor. And what is an emperor? An emperor is a leader. And what do leaders do? They take charge. So the intention that we need, those of us who picked that first yellow stone, the intention that we need to really set for ourselves in this new moon cycle is to take charge of our own destiny by getting organized, by getting creative. How are we going to, how can I achieve that big goal? The creativity comes in there when we think about what are the small steps that will get me to that big goal? And we can follow our creative energies to achieve those small steps. And then next thing we know, we're halfway to the big one. Right? Archangel Uriel is the emperor of great ideas and of epiphanies. He's also known as the light of God. And which means he can shed light on any situation that we have. So when we're kind of feeling lost, when we're feeling like we don't really know how to tackle this next chapter or where we should go, say a prayer to Archangel Uriel. Ask for guidance from Archangel Uriel. Ask for Archangel Uriel to shed some light on whatever it is, whatever issue it is that you are struggling with. And Archangel Uriel will come through. But remember, to speak to archangels, to really, they're always with us and they do always help us. But to really be able to communicate, we have to be really in tune with our higher selves. And we're not going to get there if we've got all this emotional, mental, physical, spiritual clutter around us. So step one is to go back to those blockages and clear them out by clearing out the energies that we're holding on to that don't serve us anymore. Then we can communicate with the likes of Archangel Uriel and really set the ball in motion for big manifestations. Really great message, you guys. Really, really great message. Remember, everybody watching needs to look up angel number 444 and what it means, because this was a very clear message. Marnes, I think you missed it, but we had card number 1 was the number 4. Card number 2 was 22, which usually we don't reduce, but I had to this time. They said, go ahead and reduce it. So 22 is the number 4. And the Emperor, Archangel Uriel, number 4. We got 444 right in our faces. So great message, you guys. I hope that resonates with some of you. It definitely does for me. And I actually already have a plan to declutter some stuff tomorrow. So that is stack number 1. How are we doing? I have a dress from when I worked on the cruise ship that I love, but I haven't fit into it since then, which was 2000. See, Marnes? I mean, I'm not saying, but I'm saying, right? 2003. We're now in 2021, very close to 2022, halfway to 2022. I have a friend that I stay connected to because she has no one else. See, but that's a bit different, Marnes. I mean, you might not necessarily be getting something out of that relationship, but you are giving something to that relationship that is needed. Everybody needs to feel connected. And I'm just hearing there's you're helping this person. There's help that you are providing to this person. To help them connect with other people. So that's not necessarily what I'm talking about. I'm talking about relationships that there's no give and there's no take. It's just there. It's just, you just exist together and there's really no point to it. Those are the kinds of things that we need to let go of and release. Okay, guys. Who's ready for stack number 2? Me. Okay. Stack number 2 is the orange stone. I think it's carnelian. I don't really know. I'm not good with crystals. Okay. So we have in the blockage position, we have emotional loss. In the, oh my God, you guys, this is really funny. Okay. In the energy to be called in, we have Isis. And in the intention, we have the 6 of Raphael. Why I said this is funny is because we have the number 5. I mean, it's a little bit, not quite totally synchronized, but Spirit told me to talk about it, so I'm going to. The energy card is the number 25, which reduced is the number 7. And then we have the 6 of Raphael. We have 5, 6, and 7. Progress, growth. Y'all picking up what I'm putting down? Okay. So, again, for Marns, you weren't here in the beginning. So we're doing a new moon spread this week because of the new moon coming up. And so we've asked 3 questions of the cards. First question is, what is the blockage that I need to focus on right now? What's the current blockage? And we've got in that position the number 5, emotional loss, grief, sadness. I also picked up toxic attachment. Some of us are holding on, kind of in line with the other message. Some of us are holding on to energies that just don't serve us. It becomes a toxic connection, a toxic attachment. And so the blockage is that, I mean, when you're attached here, you can't make connection somewhere else because it consumes us. When we are consumed by our grief, when we are consumed by sadness, I'm also hearing depression. We cannot connect with positive energies. It's very, very difficult. There are angels. They're everywhere around you. You're completely loved, supported, and guided by many heavenly beings, and you have nothing to fear. Boom. That's it. So emotional loss. So what Spirit said is that we need to use these negative experiences, right? When we're talking about grief, we're usually talking about the loss of a loved one. We could be talking about the loss of a relationship or a connection that meant something to us. Just being sad, about things that aren't working out or didn't work out or whatever it is. But the trick to unblock that, to remove that as a blockage, is to use it to learn who we truly are. In the time that emotional loss occurred, or the cause of that grief, the cause of that sadness, when you realize that it was a toxic attachment, what sides of yourself did you show to yourself? What was the positive side of that experience? And I know that's a very hard thing to do, but this is like, they're saying shadow work. And this is exactly, I say it all the time, shadow work is not easy. It is absolutely not easy. It's very hard to see the positive side of a shadow. Especially this kind of a shadow, an emotional loss shadow, that is difficult. But it is so important and it is so valuable because you do learn who you are and you also learn who you will become. Because when you learn who you are and you see the negative sides of who you are, you change them. You flip them. You say, I don't want to be a mean and spiteful person. I don't want to be somebody who goes on the defensive and emotionally attacks someone because I'm feeling emotionally attacked. I don't want to be that person. So what ends up happening is I'm not going to say we change ourselves, but we change the energy that we operate in. And we flip that shadow to the light side. And even when we experience those less than positive, those dark shadow sides of ourselves, we don't stay there. And that's really the point of shadow work. It's not about removing the shadows. It's about appreciating what they do. In some ways, they are actually helpful to be in that shadow energy. But it's also about being able to flip back to the light side of that, whatever that energy is. So that's what this emotional loss and being able to unblock it or remove it as a blockage, that's what that's about, is really just understanding who we are, who we truly are at our core, down to our spirit, when we experience those kinds of emotions. Yeah, and they said, focus on the good, leave the rest. Focus on the good. What's the good side of grief? Doesn't seem like there would be one, right? But the good side of grief is that you loved, that you connected. That's a great thing. Sure, you mourn, you grieve the loss of that connection. But the fact that you had it is a blessing. It's a good thing. It means you are capable of loving and connecting. The fact that we feel sadness, what's the good side of feeling sadness? Is that we know that we can feel happiness. I feel sadness right now, and I feel sadness right now that I didn't feel a year ago or whenever it was. Because I know what happiness is. So right now I'm feeling the absence of happiness, but I still know how to feel happy. Right? So we have to flip those things and understand the positive side of them and appreciate that part and live back into that energy. Focus on the good, leave the rest. That's exactly what they wanted me to say. Okay, then, and you know what else, you guys? Oh my God. Spirit is so not playing today. Look at all the green in these cards. We've got this teal color here. Whoops, sorry, this way. We've got teal. These two cards are both green. What's green? What chakra is associated with green? That would be the heart chakra. I'm not saying, but I'm saying. Open up our hearts. Okay, so the energy we need to call in, Isis, the goddess Isis, Egyptian goddess of rebirth. And very loud and very clear what they said about this, and the energy that we're actually calling in here is our own. I heard reclaim our energy, the energy that we left out there. When I read this, it talked about soul retrieval. Marnes, I know you know what that's all about. This wasn't, excuse me, you guys, sorry. My throat chakra is acting up. This wasn't necessarily a call to do soul retrieval ceremonies. This was about reclaiming our energy, recalling the parts of our soul that we have left in these traumatic or these sad experiences that cause the grief and the sadness and the toxic attachments. Call it back to ourselves, but call it back healed and filled with positivity. And then they were not playing. They said, if you were hurt, be extra kind and loving to yourself. If you were abandoned, choose yourself every day. If you were betrayed, be loyal and true to yourself. Believe that you are not broken, you are whole, and you are healed. We did just talk about that, Anna. yeah, I don't even know what else to say about this. It's just, they were like, that is the rebirth. That is you are recreating, you are revamping yourself energetically and spiritually when you reclaim your energy, when you recall your soul pieces that have broken apart and stayed in these traumatic and less than positive events. Excuse me. When you recall them and when you only allow them to come back if they are healed and they are whole in and of themselves. Obviously they're not whole because they've been out there, not in here. But if you make sure that you reclaim that, it's like a rebirth because you understand that feeling, you appreciate that feeling of being whole again. And some of us are holding on to this emotional loss stuff from many, many, many years ago. Some of us might even be holding on to it from other lifetimes. And yes, some of it might require soul retrieval ceremonies and things like that, soul retrieval rituals, but we can start the process by reclaiming and recalling our energy. We can ask the universe to only bring it back to us healed, healed and sealed is how I like to say it. Healed and sealed. So it can't leave us again. Once we know what it's like to have that piece of ourselves back, we're going to be less likely to give it away again and allow it to be separated from us. We're going to protect it. So this is the energy that we need to call in right now, is this energy of Isis, of rebirth, rebirthing ourselves, rebirthing our own energy, our own vibration, our own higher selves, our own spirits and souls, and believing that we are not broken. We just stepped away from ourselves for a minute. That's it. We're not broken. It doesn't make us broken. Whew. That one's very heavy, but so powerful. And finally, the intention that we need to focus on is the 6 of Raphael, which is embrace your inner child, new friends or rekindled relationships, children or childhood. And again, the rekindling of the relationship that we're talking about is the rekindling of the relationship with ourselves. Embracing our inner child. And when we watch children, right? I have young children in my family that I'm very close to. So I find myself watching them a lot. And it always amazes me how much unbridled faith they have in themselves. Like, I was on a video call with my sister today, and she took her son, who's 5, and their dog for a walk. Now, it was pouring rain. They were getting soaked. And my nephew decided to ride his bike. Now, where they were walking, there was a bit of a downhill. And so my sister said to him, hey, you can ride your bike, but just be careful because it's wet out. It's been raining. It's a bit slick. And it was just so funny to watch. He was kind of like, the tone of his voice was very much, yeah, okay, Mom. Okay. And then he tears off like a bat out of hell. And I'm watching him go down this hill. He has zero fear that he's going to bail out. He's got zero fear that he's going to get all wobbly and end up, riding the pavement. Zero fear. He was kicking it up a notch every couple of feet, every few yards. He was kicking it up a notch and actually pedaling faster. No fear. Because he believed that he would hit the bottom of that hill unscathed and unharmed. And he did. That's the thing. That's what they want us to talk about here. That inner child in us believes in themselves, and because they believe in themselves, they achieve what they want to achieve. And as adults, we forget that. We forget that. We let that ego, that logic get in there and say, no, you can't do this and you can't do that because you're an adult and you have to do this part and you have to do that. Rebirth ourselves, right? That's the blockage. That's the energy. Rebirth ourselves. Get in touch with that inner child who is not afraid. They believe they can be whatever they want. They don't fear the outcome. My nephew did not fear, even though his mom gave him a warning. Hey, be careful. It's wet. It's slick out. Be careful. He had no fear about the outcome of that flight, which is really the only way I can describe it as I watched it. That flight down the hill. No fear. And at the bottom, when he made it to the bottom and he stopped to wait for his mom and the dog to catch up, the smile and the pride in his face was just, I wish I'd taken a screenshot of it, because it was magic. It was magic. So we need to get, the intention that we need to have is to be more childlike in that faith in ourselves, in that belief in magic that we're not going to get hurt. We're not going to bail out on our bikes. We're going to go hard. We're going to pedal fast, and we're going to reach our destination. Be more faithful is what I wrote down. Be more faithful. That's the intention that stack number 2 needs to set for themselves in this new moon. Just be more faithful. Phew, all right. Everybody still with me? You guys are quiet. You guys are quiet today. Okay. We have the third and final stack. The blue stone. Bloop. The eagle. And we have, I knew there was a chakra card coming. The third eye chakra. We have, Aphrodite. And we have the King of Raphael. All right. So the blockage, the third eye chakra. The third eye chakra is about intuition. It's about, like having intuition, being able to decipher and receive signs from the universe. And the blockage obviously is that we're missing it. We're missing the signs from the universe. We're missing the conversation with our spirit team. We're not listening to our own intuition, which means we are missing opportunities and blessings. I mean, it's pretty simple. We need to work on opening our third eye chakras a little bit, so that we have that inner sight, which is also known as intuition. The energy that we need to call, I mean, they were like, they get it. It's fine. The energy that we need to call in is the energy of Aphrodite. Now, we all know who Aphrodite is. She's the goddess of love. And this card says the goddess of romantic love. The Greek goddess of romantic love. And so I channeled this message for this card, and I asked Spirit, what on earth would she possibly have to do with the third eye? How does this message fit? What are we doing here, Spirit? And again, they were quite clear. They said, you need to fall in love with your own life. Even though this says romantic love, it's not really romantic love like with a partner. Yes, the result of some of the things that they talked about will probably be a new partnership or renewed energy in an existing partnership. But it's about falling in love with our own lives. It's looking for the essence and the expression of love all around us. Choosing to live a life full of love. Staying present. And this is kind of going back to the last stack, because the description of this card said, stay present. You may discover that something painful is actually a beautiful gift. And then I heard, from spirit, a gift of growth and healing. So some of these, the emotional loss we were talking about, the grief, the sadness, the toxic attachments, some of those things actually happen in order to help us heal something that happened even before that. This is the stepping stone to healing and to growth. So, but we're not going to see that. We're not going to feel that or experience that if we don't first make a conscious decision to live our lives from a place of love. That is the energy. The energy that we need to call in right now is love, just straight up. Love for ourselves, love for the people around us, love for the planet, love for the spirit world, love for our ancestors, love for everything. There are so many different facets to love, right? It's not just about, hearts and butterflies and being Twitter pated all the time. No. Love is also doing the hard work. Love is also telling someone when they're wrong or when they've hurt you. So we have to, the message here, the energy that they really want us to call in is the energy of love, but in all of its forms. In all of its forms. Releasing expectations and attachments will also improve our relationship with the universe. Remember, we talked about in the other two stacks, if we stop focusing on the big picture, the universe can step in and help and get us to that big picture. We got to take the first baby steps. That's what this is talking about as well. We need to get, and that's why the third eye, that was actually where they were all like, this is how this relates to the third eye blockage, is that if we start coming from a place of love, releasing attachments and expectations, we become more closely connected to the universe itself, to our spirit guides, our spirit teams, etc., etc. So call in the energy of love. And then finally, what intention do we need to focus on for this coming new moon phase? The King of Raphael. Warm, generous, honorable, refined. And it says, I can't read it backwards, sorry. It says, yes, it is safe to trust. The ability to accomplish many things at once. Follow your creative passions. And again, they said all we're going to say about this is do everything from a place of love and gratitude. Which is kind of, piggybacking that, calling in the energy of love. And then your intention needs to be to do everything, go through every moment of every day from a place of love and from a place of gratitude, appreciating the small things, celebrating the small accomplishments. They will lead to bigger ones. Achieving a small thing means you will achieve a bigger thing. You're taking those baby steps. And this is they're making me think about the inner child message from before as well. Children start small. Right? A child doesn't go from being a newborn, an infant who has to be carried, to running a marathon. No. They start by holding their head up. Then they start by sitting up on their own and reaching for things and grabbing for the things they want, and slowly start to babble, which then forms words, which then form sentences, and they're able to articulate full thoughts. Right? From a sitting up position, they lean forward, and now they're on all fours. They're ready. Then they start crawling. They realize they can move around. Then one day they stand right up and they start walking. Doesn't mean they don't fall. We've all watched kids learn how to walk. They fall. They fall a lot, but they get back up because they're determined to get from point A to point B. That's the inner child energy that we need to call in. And I'm feeling like the reason they're making me bring this up now is that's that, do everything from a place of love and gratitude. A child, while they might not be able to articulate it, a child is grateful that they can get up and walk around. A child comes into this world only knowing love. Love for the people who care for them. everything they do is from a place of love. Love for themselves, right? Because we know sometimes babies are a little bit selfish. But it's love for themselves. It's self-love and it's self-care. Nothing really wrong with that, is there? And I preach it every week. Self-care, self-care, self-care. Well, as long as you're not hurting other people or inconveniencing other people, taking care of ourselves is the highest form of love that we can have, especially when we're talking about reaching our higher selves. To reach your higher self, you have to love your higher self. You have to love yourself, period. Right? So, those are the messages for this week, you guys. I hope you enjoyed them. I feel like it was very heavy, but really good and really important because of this period that we're in, because of this phase that we're in with the new moon coming up. Remember, the message in the beginning of this live was about being mindful of our communication. Mercury in retrograde, always a challenge on communication. But then we've also got new moon in Gemini. Gemini rules communication. So that could be a conflict, or that could just mean that we need to pay extra attention to how we're communicating, what we're communicating to ourselves and to the world around us. But as always, you guys, I am so thankful that you are here, that you were here with me this week. I hope you enjoyed the messages. I hope to see you all back here next week. And I hope you all survive this week of the new moon energy and the solar eclipse. Remember that whatever arises during the solar eclipse or any eclipse tends to have a higher impact. So even more reason to be very mindful about what we're doing. Pulling in that, working from an energy of love and gratitude should help that. We're planting those seeds, and hopefully they will grow into blossoming, abundant blessings of all shapes and sizes. All right, you guys, I am going to leave you here. Thank you as always again for being here with me. Thank you for watching. Hoping to see you guys next week, like I said. Until we meet again, be well on your journeys. I love you all, and I will see you soon. Bye.